Hey, welkom back to Garens Papercraft. Thank you very much for watching. Wat leuk dat je bekijkt. Dankjewel. Do you have leftover pieces of window sheet? I do. And now look at this. This cheerful card with a split front allows you to use your pieces of leftover window sheet. Not only am I going to show you in the video how you can make the card, but I'm also showing you the easiest way of adhering it in such a way that all these bits end up in the right position. Curious? Come and join me. Right, I'm going to start by making the ladybirds, and I need the wings and the ladybird body, and then 2 blocks C blocks. I'm stamping in early espresso and in sweet sorbet for the wings, and when I look at my punch, this is how I insert my paper. So I'm going to stamp the ladybirds themselves upside down on the left, then I can punch like that, and then I'm going to punch the wings on the right. Makes it easier to do so. Okay, so I'll start by stamping them and punching them. I stamped them one after the other because of the way I punched them the way I punched them, because that's the way I stamped them. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Stampin' Up punch. Of course, when you push through, you punch. But there's a trick to it if you'd like me to tell you. This is just a bit long still. When you slide your image in, it's easy for it to slide away again, and then you have these uneven borders. But when you take your punch and when you press down very lightly, you see the paper doesn't move anymore. And then you can check, is it okay? Are the borders equal all around? And if they are, then you make the full punch movement, and that's when you have the beautiful image with all the equal borders around. Now I need 3 wings and 3 ladybugs, so these are the ones that I'm going to save. I'm going to put them on top of each other, I mean the wings, using the mini glue dots. Mini glue dots in themselves also create a bit of depth because they're just a bit higher. And I want that because I'm going to mount the ladybugs themselves onto some dimensionals later on. And also here with the wings, I need just a bit of height difference. You could use your liquid glue, but then they are more or less flat. And here you can see there's this edge because the mini glue dot is underneath, and it makes it just a bit higher. And make sure that you put your glue dot towards the middle of the wing, not towards the outer edges, because that sticks out from underneath, you see, and then you have your glue dot in a position where you don't want it. So, see, not too, oops, don't drop it, not too far towards the outer edge. So, see, in the middle more or less, and then you can put it on. And these are ready to go onto my card later on. I'll continue by showing you the card base itself, the measurements, how to score, how to cut, and how you can create the scalloped edge. First of all, I'm going to need a piece of thick basic white, and this is 9 1/4. I'll just put my stamp over there. So 9 1/4, that's the total length of the card. And I could have used this for the ladybugs as well, but I had one left from another card. And then you cut it, I would say score, but you cut it at 3 7/8 in centimeters. So this was 9¼ in centimeters, that is 23.5, and the card is 3 7/8 wide, and in centimeters that is 9.9 centimeters. You're going to score this at 5½, which is 14 centimeters. And here at the shorter end, you're going to cut off 1¼ inches. That is 3.2 centimeters. Okay, so this is the part that folds over, and this is the part that I've cut off. And I'm going to make these scalloped edges with this Colored Contours dies, the largest one. And I'm going to partially die cut it. So, like that. And I'm putting my die on top, and then I'm checking if it meets at the top there, and if here you have an equal border. And when I do, I adhere it with some sticky tape. I need a piece which is really sticky because I don't want it to move when I'm die cutting it. Okay, this I'm going to die cut, but I'm not going to die cut all of it. I'm just going to die cut it as far as there. So I'll show you. You're going to need the base plate, the thin plate, a cutting plate and another cutting plate. And I'm going to run this through my die cut machine, just partially. You don't want to run it through entirely because then you'll be cutting that one as well, and I don't want that. So I've put it in, and I'll show you. I'll get my machine in camera as well. So I've put everything in, and the edge I wanted to cut is there. So just run it across. That's all that's necessary. And you see how I've cut the edge. And I'm going to do the same thing with this piece, the one that I cut off. Doesn't matter which side you take here, but I do the same thing. I'll just take away my sticky notes. Oh, well, it was sticky, but I tore it. Let me get rid of these bits as well. Now, same thing. I'm looking if I have an equal border to the left and towards the right, and that it lines up with the top of the piece of paper. This should do it, and then secure it again, and then run it through. Here you don't have to do it partially if you don't want to, because there's no paper sticking out over the rest of the die, so this you can just run through like that. And these pieces then I can adhere later, but first I'm going to do some more stamping. I'm going to make my own designer series paper on top of my cardstock. So let me just get rid of all these bits and bobs, and I'll show you how to do the stamping. I'm going to do some masking as well. I'm going to stamp, I think this is a kind of cabbage leaf. I like to think it's a cabbage leaf. I'm going to stamp that on the inside, and I'm using Parakeet Party. Just looking for a block here. Okay, and I'm going to mask off the top part so that I don't stamp on top of that. Just sticky note. This is a large post-it across the top, and now I can do the stamping. And I'm going to add these 3 little dots as well, all over the cardstock, in the same colour, Parakeet Party. I always think it adds a little interest to the image if you stamp a couple of things off the paper as well. But that is just a matter of taste. I was just looking for my chamois to clean the stamp with. Okay, so, oh, with my clock. So that's the Then I'm going to do the same thing with the top of the card. I'm going to mask it because I want to stamp the flower on, and I'm going to mask on two sides because I want the scalloped edge to remain white as well. So here again I'm putting a little mask on, okay, and then I can stamp the flowers. And I'm going to stamp the heart of the flower as well, and for that I'll close off my pad to prevent accidents from happening, and then I'll stamp the hearts, and I'm stamping them in Parakeet Party as well, just to keep the colour scheme the same, the green. You could use a different colour if you wanted to. And I'm going to stamp this bit as well, so I'll need just one mask. I can take this away. Okay. And I'm going to mask this piece as well. So I'll put the mask on top, and there's a very faint line that you can see from the die cutting, and I'm putting the mask along that line, and I'm going to stamp some more in the blue. Because my hands are very painful, I have often difficulty closing my stamp pads, but I've discovered that when I push from this end, just give it a slight push, then it's easier for me to draw. I can't grip things like that, but I can draw, pull, if you like. So, oh, I forgot my hearts. Oh. For those I don't need a mask in this case, so 3 more hearts. The lovely thing about photopolymer stamps is that they are see-through. So, okay, so now then, to make things easier on you, I'll get rid of that one, and then I'm going to show you how you can attach the acetate, the window sheet. And the window sheet that you need is a piece which is 3/7/8 by 3 1/4. So I'll see if this is large enough. 3/7/8 and then 3 1/4. Okay. In centimetres, that is 9.9 by 8.3 centimetres. And now I dropped that piece of paper on the floor, but I must be careful when getting up, otherwise I will slide away. Okay, tear and tape to fix it onto the card. And you put the tear and tape next to the scalloped edge, so just below that, so that you don't see it from the front of the card. And here too. And while designing this card, I discovered, for me, an easy method of attaching the 3 parts of the card, the part that you cut off and the part which has the window sheet on, and then the other part. And I'm starting with the bottom piece. Now, you want your 3/7/8 edge, of course, with the card, so you can measure that so that you have it right, and you want to put that along there, And you want it towards the scalloped edge, because that's the bottom of the card and this is going towards the top. I'll remove the backing paper and I'm going to use my grid paper. I'll put it on my grid paper, and I'm using my grid paper to make sure that it is straight. And now I can use the guide of this fat line in the middle to put my piece on, making sure that it's aligned there and there, and it follows that part, and you see this is then adhered. And now the easy part. Before I was struggling, how shall I do it? And I thought, okay, I'll do it like this. So I'm going to remove the backing paper here, and I'm keeping the bottom aligned, and then I'm folding it over. Well, that's all there's to it, you see. No more sliding around. And here I'm attaching the ladybugs 1 1/4 inch from the bottom of the card. So I'm using the grid paper again, and if you have 5 of these little squares, that's 1 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to put some dimensionals on them. Just one in the middle is okay, to make them pop on the card. There we go. So the card itself is just under 4 inches, so it should be wide enough to go into. This is an envelope that I deconstructed, a regular C6 envelope, Stampin' Up envelope, and I like it when the wings stick out a little, but you don't want them to stick out too far, because then you won't be able to put it into the envelope. So the 1 1/4 inch line, and I'm using the fat line in the middle as a guide, and then I'm putting its bum on top of that line. And I'll start with the ones on the right and on the left, and you see the wings are sticking out just a bit, but not too much. And I've used this grid line as a guide, and then the third one can go on top of the other two. There's a really stubborn bit of paper there. Okay, bone folder to make sure the card stays shut. And there you have a really pretty card. And of course you could write a message on the back, but also inside if you wanted to. I like it. That's it for today. I hope I have inspired you with my split front design. If you'd like to see more of my videos, there are some suggestions there, and there's loads more on my channel. All the details for this card you can find on my blog, and the link to the blog post is below. Thank you very much for watching. Dank je wel voor het kijken en see you next time. Bye bye, tot ziens!